Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Gaming with JTV. It's your boy here. I just got done watching the developer stream, and we have so many exciting stuff coming to Dead by Daylight, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna get straight to the point. You guys already know that our new killer is going to be Ghostface. For y'all that haven't seen the teaser trailer, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in here, and then we're gonna get into his perks and his abilities. Notice how my boy murdered him, but still paid for everything. But now that y'all have seen the trailer, we're gonna get into how his ability works, how fast he is, and then next we'll get into his perks. So what I would do to make it easier, I will let y'all hear it from the developers themselves.
So, the power. The power is called Night Shroud, and basically this is a true stealth ability. And by that I mean that when you activate it, your terror radius shrinks to 0, and it makes you much more difficult to be detected by survivors. On top of this, you're also moving at full speed, so 4.6 meters a second.
Okay.
Also, if Night Shroud is active, he stops emitting his red stain. So this is really handy for mind gaming around pallets, around loops. Very cool power. Special ability. Very cool special ability. He also has another ability where he can come up behind some cover, lean out, peek, and stalk survivors from there. So again, just another really interesting way to kind of stay hidden, but be able to stalk your victims. When your power is active, you can stalk your victims, very similar to Maya's, but in this case, you're stalking them individually. So once you've stalked a survivor for 4 seconds, they become marked, and that means that you've applied the exposed status effect.
Which is bad.
Which is very bad. It leaves them very vulnerable for the next 20 seconds. But they can detect Ghostface by being within 32 meters, so in a pretty close proximity, and looking at him for at least 1 second. This will break him out of his stealth ability, so it will cancel his power.
So he's the one that needs to play hide and seek this
Exactly. He needs to be aware of where the survivors are in the map. Otherwise, again, they're going to cancel his power. It will go back on cooldown. He'll start emitting his regular terror radius, his regular red stain, and he won't be able to mark survivors anymore. So his first perk is called I'm All Ears, and it's a detection tracking perk. So basically the way that it works is if a survivor performs a rushed action outside of your terror radius, their aura will be shown for the next 6 seconds. So this means if they do a fast vault, if they hold shift when they're jumping into or out of a locker, they're going to reveal themselves to you. The second perk is called Thrilling Tremors.
Okay.
Is an obstruction perk. And basically that means that it's there to kind of help slow down the game a bit, stop survivors from being able to do their objective. The way that it works is that when you pick up a downed survivor, or in this case, when you interrupt a survivor, it will block any generators that are not currently being worked on by another survivor for 16 seconds. All right, the third perk is called Furtive Chase. So this perk is an obsession perk, and the way that this works is that when the killer hooks the obsession, they gain a token, up to a maximum of 2, 3, or 4 tokens, obviously based on the perk tier. And for each token that you have, you will reduce your terror radius by 4 meters when you're in a chase. On top of this, it's also a dynamic obsession perk, and by that I mean that your obsession will change throughout the match, similar to how the reworked Decisive Strike works. And so the way that works is that when a survivor goes to unhook the original obsession, they will then become the obsession. So this sets up a new target for the killer to want to hook.
So on June 4th, the PTB will be released, and on the 18th of June, we all will be able, that means all platforms will be able to play the new killer Ghostface. And some more good news, I know a lot of you are going to be excited. On June 14th through the 18th, we will be getting a double blood points, and they say that they're supposed to be doing some type of event for us too on the June 18th. It's for the 3-year anniversary. They didn't give out any details on it, so we all got to wait and see what they have in store. This will end on the 2nd of July. Some more news that survivors are not going to like. Freddie is getting a rework, and from this rework, the details they released, man, I'm not going to lie to you. Freddie's kind of sounding strong, bro. He has the ability to teleport to generators, bro. I'm not kidding you. Check this out.
So ultimately, as Freddie, you can aim at a generator, and you can channel an ability for 5 seconds. After the 5 seconds, you will appear at the generator.
So right now we're seeing footage of it from the killer's point of view. So you just aim to the generator and you just get there, right?
Exactly. You can also cancel it. Ultimately, the generator will explode in blood during the time period while you're channeling, and a husk of Freddie will also appear at the generator.
That's awesome. I've seen also that you can use them in chase. Now we see the survivor side right away. Yeah.
So ultimately, you can be running towards a generator and forcing the survivor to go towards that direction, and then you can teleport in front of him to get to the generator and try to cut him off.
Here you have it, y'all. Freddie might not be as terrible as he used to be, man. He has potential to somewhat be a strong killer now. And they are reworking him. I will let them tell y'all how the reworks are going to be.
So the sleep cycle has 3 components to it. It has micro sleep, which is the first one I'm going to talk about. Ultimately, players will experience Freddie differently. So when you're awake, he'll be intermittent at a certain distance, invisible past a certain distance, and completely visible within a tight range. You'll hear the terror radius by default instead of the lullaby. And that's pretty much it for the default microsleep, and you can hit people right away as Freddie. You don't have to wait for them to fall asleep.
Oh, okay, so now we're seeing some footage of Freddie blinking in and out. So at that moment, you would hear terror radius, right?
Exactly, as he's walking away.
Yes, and Freddie doesn't have any more to put anyone to sleep.
No, so this is the second component of the sleep cycle. Survivors will be falling asleep passively, so it's going to happen over 60 seconds or whatever time we choose. After people fall asleep, Freddie should be completely visible, and you'll be hearing the lullaby instead of the terror radius, which is a little harder to detect where he's coming from. Now, any failed skill check will wake you up. That includes sabotage. In addition to failing skill checks, you can wake each other up. This is the old snap, snap, clap, clap, and then you're awake. Final component of waking up is the new dream object, which is a clock on top of a dresser. When you fall asleep, there will be a dream object that you can interact with that will always wake you up.
So it's way easier to get woken up by a fellow survivor or by a generator.
So this is the dream abilities.
Okay.
He's got dream traps, and he's got something else. I'm going to go into that after. It's a little teaser right now. So we start with dream pallets. Dream pallets, not like the doctor, but similar to the doctor. You can place dream pallets on spawn points throughout the map where pallets would normally spawn to place these fake pallets. Awake survivors do not see these pallets. So you have to play like a memory game and remember which ones were not there before you fell asleep. And then when you fall asleep, there will be fake pallets. These fake pallets, when you interact with them and drop them, they explode in blood. There's also a dream snare. So we're choosing between the dream pallets and the dream snares. For those of you at home, we're not sure if we're going to go for both in this base kit. It might be one that turns into an add-on, or the other one is base kit. The dream snares is an ability that you can use actively within a chase. It only affects sleeping survivors. And when you place it on the ground, it will take 2 seconds to arm, and when a survivor walks over it, they will be slowed for the time that the trap is active and for a lingering effect after that.
Another thing they talked about in the stream is dedicated servers, and we could possibly be on the road to getting re-queued lobbies, meaning that when you're surviving with friends, it won't be the struggle of, oh, after each game you gotta send invites and just keep repeating the process. We may possibly be able to re-queue up after each game.
It does bring us the possibility to bring in a feature that's been asked for a little bit.
By internalizing the management of friends and the display of friends and invites inside the game, it allows us a friend requeue, we call, but basically Survive with Friends group will be able to be maintained together game after game, because the party is not going to live in the game, it's going to live on our servers instead of what it is right now.
I think that's the most beautiful thing you've said tonight.
It's really, really exciting.
Been waiting for that for 80 years.
So we got future dedicated servers possibly, and then we also are on the road to getting re-queued lobbies. I know you Survive with Friends out there are going to be extremely happy. I know I'm going to be happy because I know it's a hassle. After each game you play with your friends, you got to keep sending invites. Now, this next feature that they're adding got me kind of hype. I'm not even going to lie, because I told y'all I've been getting like kind of bored with Dead by Daylight, but after watching this live stream, I'm not even going to lie to you guys, I'm like back in the grind to want to play Dead by Daylight. That's like they're adding so much. I'm going to go ahead and show y'all this next feature that they're adding.
So here's what the archive does more than expand the universe. So really it's a platform to be able to explore the lore of what Dead by Daylight is. Then of course there's going to be new things to do, so new goals. We'll cover that a little bit later. And it's going to be a new way to collect more cosmetics on top of everything that we're doing. Of course it's work in progress. So with the archive we'll be bringing the players into a new area of the entity, and we'll introduce a new support character called
that's
the
the hand
Observer.
there.
Yeah. He's called the Observer, the Archivist, there's multiple names, even the Prisoner. The Observer has a very unique power where he can probe the entity fog and find memories and stories that are stored in the memory of the entity. You know, every time a character is taken by the entity, all of the memories of that character goes into the fog somewhere, it's stored somewhere.
That's how all the universe is sort of created.
Exactly.
It's from bits and bobs from different people.
And then that's kind of forgotten, it's not used by the entity, but the Observer can probe and find these stories for
probing.
reasons that we'll see later. Yeah, probing. So, you know, right here on the concept we see a little Claudette. So this is one of the story we're going to explore. It's an example. So when, you know, a little bit of backstory, what made Claudette that we know. Last thing on stories, we want to be generous with the lore of the game. So every archive, so every 3 months, in between the chapter release, we want to release a new tome on the mid-chapter. And we want to release a new tome. And the tome is going to have survivor stories, killer stories, and one story that expands the universe that make the story of the Dead by Daylight progress. So what we're seeing here is what the player will actually be doing in the archive. So what you're going to see in a tome is a web of quests and mission, a bit like the Blood Web, but with different things that you need to accomplish in the game. So the player decides what path they want to use to be able to unlock all the goodies in there. And there's some survivor mission, there's some killer mission, there's some that are more global, there are some that are really specific, and a lot of them are also based around the story that we're currently exploring.
So each tome has its own theme and its own story.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And the mission are going to be linked somewhat to this story that we're exploring.
And the rewards too.
Yeah. So what we see here is that, of course, you'll be able to progress your character using blood points that are rewards of the nodes themselves, of the missions. But you're also going to unlock the stories bit by bit. And once you complete each of the story, you will unlock an animatic that shows your, all the characters that we have in situations that are impossible to see normally in the game.
Yeah.
You can also see here charms. So there is a new cosmetic. Yeah, it's a new cosmetic that we will release with the archive called the Charm. So these are little trinkets that you can equip on Survivor's belt and also on the Killer Hook. So as part of the archive, it's important to understand that there's 4 difficulty levels in the archive, so difficulty of mission. And when you complete one of the difficulty level, you will unlock this completion charm that is unique to that tome, meaning that it's the ultimate bragging right.
So if I'm not done by the time the next tome comes out, can I still work on it?
Absolutely. The Archives tome will be available to all forever. It's part of the normal game. Everybody has access to it. The archive as well. So the Rift is something else that comes with the archive. So when the observer probes inside the fog, it creates a rift. The rift is not permanent, it's something temporary. So it's for the 3 months of that specific tome that we just released. And in the rift, the player will be able to unlock more cosmetic. So here's a little concept, obviously work in progress. So in the rift, by completing quests in the tome that is currently active, and by just playing normally, you'll be able to evolve into tiers, into 2 tracks of rewards. Okay. So the first track is free for everybody that is participating in, there you go. So every, tiers in the free track will reward in different cosmetic. And if you want to spice it up, you can also participate in the paid track, which has even more cosmetic. And what's important to understand here is that the cosmetic rewarded in these tracks are related to the stories of the tome that we're exploring.
So finally, we get something to play for now. We've just been playing for blood points, and if you're an OG like me, been playing since the game came out, you pretty much have everything, so you're just playing for blood points. You don't really get to do anything with these blood points. We now have a reason, we now have challenges and all that stuff. The little rift at the end was basically like their own battle pass, you could call it. And y'all can thank me for making this video, because I watched the entire developer stream. No hate towards them, but literally, they took like hours just to get into the stuff that people wanted to know. They kind of were just rambling about a lot, so I kind of just took a main points from the video and put it into this one. Another thing that I forgot to mention is they are reworking some maps, and also they're reworking loops. I'll put a quick clip to show y'all what's up.
The idea of reworking palette loops is we see that there are some loops in the game, such as the one on the left, where they're too valuable for survivors in a chase. And so what we want to do is we want to reduce those loops which are too valuable, where there's too much loop money, and we want to reduce that overall.
So I can already hear it, but why? It's nerfing survivors again, right?
No, not necessarily. Because basically the way the procedural map system works is that we have a palette budget, for example, right? And so what happens is we give the map a certain budget to place palettes. So what we'll do is we won't be touching the budget, but rather we'll be lowering the value of the really high value loops in favor of smaller value loops. And when we go to redistribute that value across the map, this is a very exaggerated version we see on the screen, but on the left we see a few really high value loops, and on the right what we're aiming for actually is many more lower value loops, but overall equivalent to what we had. The goal is to promote more skill-based gameplay, because with overly safe loops, there isn't so much mind gaming that can happen. So mind gaming, looping, this is like the central mechanic of the game. So we want to promote that, because it's really fun when you have, you know, those loops where you can kind of mind game and it's up to someone to make a mistake.
This is going to get very, very interesting. I know there's going to be a lot of unhappy survivors, but to the real OG survivors out there, let me know your opinions in the comment section. Are you guys unhappy with the loop change? Does it bother you? Some may say no because I'm a good survivor. So let me know your opinions in the comment section right now. Man, we got a rework on Freddy, bro. They're reworking maps, bro. The palette change. Are survivors gonna be extremely nerfed, or does this change anything? Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Leave a like. Also, if you love Dead by Daylight just as much as me, be sure to go follow your boy on Twitch, because like I said, I'm back into Dead by Daylight, man. With all this stuff coming, man, we're really excited to play the game. So be sure to follow me on Twitch. Thank you guys for watching the video. It's your boy JTV. I'm out of here. See y'all next video.